I tested these 9 popular electric commuter scooters, each one in exactly the same way, using this $500 data logger because I wanted to find out which ones are the best electric scooters for commuting. I'll show you the test data for all of these scooters as we go through the video, but I'm mainly going to focus on these two $799 full suspension scooters right here, the Ninebot MAX G2 and the brand new VMAX VX2 Lite, because these two scooters might be the world's best value when it comes to full suspension commuter scooters. I tested all 9 scooters for speed, range, hill climbing, braking, and more. At the end of the video, I'll do a lightning round, 30 seconds on each scooter covering who each one is for. I'm Paul Somerville, and for 4 years, I was the lead electric scooter reviewer at Electric Scooter Guide, where I tested over 200 electric scooters. Now, full disclosure, I'm with VMAX these days, but the data's the data. If you think I got something wrong, please call me on the comments, I'll answer back. Let's get the head-to-head competition underway between the Ninebot MAX G2 and the brand new VMAX VX2 Lite. First up is top speed, starting with the VMAX VX2 Lite. Speed run number 2 on the VX2 Lite. 2, 1, go. All right. 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. We got 25 indicated. The tested top speed of the VX2 Lite, 24.6 miles per hour. Next up, Ninebot MAX G2. In the 2-direction speed run, the Ninebot MAX G2 went 21.4 miles per hour. The VMAX VX2 Lite wins round 1 versus the Ninebot MAX G2 and comes within 1 mile per hour of the more expensive Apollo Go. And before we move on, check out the change in acceleration once you get down to the budget scooters in the $400 to $200 range. It's a lot bigger difference than most people think. For the range test, I rode the VX2 Lite and the Ninebot MAX G2 on the Electric Scooter Guide range test course in their fastest riding mode. The Ninebot MAX G2 covered an astounding 26.6 miles. After about 21 miles, the speed really dropped off. The last 5 or 6 miles was below 10 miles per hour. The VX2 Lite has 499 watt hours, so within 10% of the Ninebot MAX G2, but I only covered 16.8 miles on the standard version of the VX2 Lite. If we're gonna compare these $799 versions of both scooters, the Ninebot MAX G2 wins. Now, if you do need the range, we also have a long range version of the VX2 Lite. That one costs $1099. I covered 29.4 miles. I've tested all 9 of these scooters the same way. Here's the whole data set so you can get a little perspective on how each one did. Range testing is also where I learn about the ride quality of the scooters, and the Ninebot MAX G2 has a really nice ride. It feels planted, its hydraulic front suspension and adjustable rear springs make it comfortable and easy to ride for long distances. Unlike the G3, the Ninebot MAX G2 only has springs in the back. The VX2 Lite uses oil-damped front suspension with springs and oil like a motorcycle, and then out back it's got patented elastomeric suspension that acts like a spring and a shock absorber all in one. I'm not gonna pick a winner for the ride quality category. A lighter rider that wants the softest riding setup might prefer the Ninebot MAX G2. On the other hand, the VX2 Lite has a higher rider weight limit and stronger acceleration, so between these two scooters, heavier riders are more likely to prefer the VX2 Lite. Coming up next is a section that's especially important to heavier riders. Let's go climb some hills. This is the Electric Scooter Guide test hill. It's a 10% grade and it represents the steepest hill you're likely to encounter in a normal commute. First up is the Ninebot MAX G2. The G2 climbed the ESG hill in 13.1 seconds. Now let's try the VMAX VX2 Lite. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, still accelerating. The VX2 Lite climbed the ESG hill in 12.4 seconds, about a 5% advantage. This is a win for the VX2 Lite versus the Ninebot MAX G2, but it's not a huge difference. Both the Ninebot MAX G2 and the VX2 Lite are strong enough to climb any hill you're likely to encounter. And again here, I want to point out the huge difference that you see between the name brand scooters up top and then the generic Amazon and Costco scooters in the $400 and $200 range. I'll pull up the scoreboard real quick. We're VMAX 2 points and Segway 1 point, but let's go test the brakes. This one should be close because the VMAX VX2 Lite and the Segway Ninebot use exactly the same brake setup. They both use drum brakes in front and a regen brake out back. The Ninebot MAX G2 controls all of this with just the left brake lever operating both brakes. The VX2 Lite also uses the left brake lever to operate both brakes, but you also get a right-hand lever that is a dedicated regen brake. Some people, when they're just riding around and doing normal stops, like to exclusively use regen. From 15 miles per hour to 0, the Ninebot MAX G2 stopped in 12.0 feet. The VX2 Lite stopped in 11.4 feet, and that's about 7 inches shorter. Again, this is not a knockout. Both brake really well, and both are really easy to use. But the VX2 Lite wins on the data here, and I think it's a well-deserved win because the VX2 Lite gives you the option of using an exclusively regen brake lever if you want to. Here's the scoreboard, and VMAX VMAX has 3 points to Segway's 1 point, but the Ninebot MAX G2 is about to make a big comeback in this next category, so keep watching. Before we move on, I want to show you something interesting on the big graph here. When Segway moved from the Ninebot MAX G2 to the Ninebot MAX G3, they went from drum to disc brakes, and that's why the Ninebot MAX G3 just outstops everything right here. But if you're putting on commute miles, there's a big advantage to using drum and regen brakes, and that's the drum and regen brakes basically last forever, unlike disc brakes where you do end up changing the pads out fairly often. You also don't have to worry about warping rotors. This is the reason why Apollo has been using drum brakes on so many of their scooters for so long. Round 5 is the tech round, and I'm just going to start by announcing the obvious winner of this category, and that's the Segway. Segway's app is just miles deep. It's deeper on the Ninebot MAX G3, but even on the Ninebot MAX G2, it's pretty good. You can just dial in a ton of settings and get lost in it for hours. Now, my relationship with that app is a little complicated because I unbox and test a lot of scooters. And when I first unbox a scooter, all I want to do is unbox the scooter and immediately go ride. I don't really want to set up an account, set up my app, watch a bunch of safety videos, and then learn my way around sort of the nanny features of the scooter. That's day one. For the next 2 weeks, I actually kind of enjoy the Segway apps because it's fun to tweak and tune all the little features. Then after about 2 weeks, all the settings are set, and now I just want the nanny features to kind of get out of my way. VMAX takes the opposite approach here. The app is basically optional because you can still access all of the features and the full performance of the scooter right through the display. This also gives a privacy advantage for those who don't feel comfortable with the idea of their scooter usage being tracked. So it really depends on your style. Some would call the VMAX approach less advanced, and some would call it less intrusive. But either way, the Ninebot MAX takes a solid win for technology, and the final score is VMAX VX2 Lite 3 to Segway's 2. Does that mean that everybody should buy the VMAX and nobody should buy the Ninebot MAX G2? Absolutely not. It's honestly too close to call a real winner. It really just depends on how you want to use the scooter, and that's what this next section is all about. We're gonna do the lightning round on all 9 scooters, 30 seconds each on who should buy each one and what they're each about. Keep watching because there is a scooter on this list for everyone, even for folks who have a budget under $200. We'll start with the most expensive and work our way down. Who should buy the VMAX VX2 Hub? People buy the new VX2 Hub because it has the performance of a dual motor scooter packed into a single rear motor design. You end up with a scooter that can climb the steepest hills, but has better handling because the front wheel is so much lighter, and it's not hard to carry upstairs or put into a trunk because of the lighter single motor design. With 34.1 miles per hour of tested top speed and nearly 30 miles of tested range, the VX2 Hub is a great choice for expert riders who are commuting longer distances and want the very best ride quality. For beginner to intermediate riders, these other 8 commuter scooters are great, but for expert riders, the VMAX VX2 Hub is the performance commuter of choice. Next up, who should buy the Ninebot MAX G3? The Ninebot MAX G3 is a top-selling performance commuter that'll satisfy beginners, intermediates, and some expert riders with its tested top speed of 27.9 miles per hour. Here, the real differentiator is the tech. If you want maximum tech and a commuter scooter that looks high-tech, the G3 is hard to beat. One of the only things not to like about the MAX G3 is many reviewers called it out for having short range in real-world tests. In my test, I rode the Ninebot MAX G3 21.8 miles, which is not bad, except during the last 6 miles, the scooter limited me to about 7 miles per hour. You could solve the Ninebot MAX G3 range problem with this external battery pack if it were ever available. I've checked like 10 times and I've only seen it available on their website once. So guys, if you know where this battery pack is available somewhere other than the Segway website, please let me know in the comments. Ultimately, I feel like people really buy the Ninebot MAX G3 for the tech and not so much for the range per dollar. And so it's still a great choice if you love high-tech scooters. Next up, who should buy the VMAX VX2 Pro GT? For years, this has been VMAX's best-selling electric scooter. This is not the VX2 Lite. This is our version of like the Ninebot MAX G, except a bit faster and with a bit more hill climbing power. The advantage to this scooter is that it gives you that 25 miles per hour and great hill climbing, but it still fits really easily in a trunk and it's easier to carry upstairs than a full suspension scooter. With its 10-inch air-filled tubeless tires, it still has a surprisingly smooth ride despite not having suspension. Get the VX2 Pro if you want a scooter that's powerful enough to climb the Swiss Alps, but you also need something portable. Next up, who should buy the Apollo Go? Now, the thing I love about the Apollo Go is they took all the great Apollo Apollo stuff, and they squeezed it into the smallest possible scooter and gave it dual motors. Like Segway and VMAX, Apollo's build quality is top-notch. My only disappointment when I tested one for Electric Scooter Guide, my tested top speed was only 25.3 miles per hour and not the advertised 28 miles, and I don't know if that has changed since then. You don't get the performance per dollar here that you get with something like a Kukirin or a Yumi scooter, but just like with the Segway and the VMAX, what you do get is a very high quality scooter that has next level ride quality. So when looking at the Apollo Go, I would let your taste for a sporty ride be your guide. If I had to rank these three from sportiest to least sporty, I would put the VX2 Lite on the top, the Apollo Go in the middle, and then finally the Ninebot MAX G2. Speaking of the Ninebot MAX G2, who should buy this scooter? Segway is strange and that they never seem to retire their old scooters. And so even though the Ninebot MAX G3 came out over a year ago, the Ninebot MAX G2 seems to be sticking around. And that's a good thing, because now with scooters like the VMAX VX2 Lite and the Ninebot MAX G2, you suddenly got access to a level of ride quality that a few years ago you just couldn't touch for $799. You're looking at the Ninebot MAX G2 versus the VX2 Lite, you should buy the Max if you want the most tech-heavy scooter you can get for $799, as long as 21.4 miles per hour is enough top speed for you. For the price, you get an absolute ton of range from the Segway scooter, and the G2 is just a really well-established and safe choice, if not the most exciting. It's good for beginner and intermediate riders that want the maximum reliability and range and are willing to give up a little bit of sportiness to get it. So who should buy the new VMAX VX2 Lite? The VX2 Lite was just released and is the newest electric scooter on this list. With starting price of $799 and a tested top speed of 24.6 miles per hour and full suspension, what I love about the VX2 Lite is that suddenly you've got access to the ride quality of our top spec VMAX VX2 Hub at about half the price. Like the Ninebot MAX G2, the VMAX VX2 Lite doesn't give you that 34 mile per hour expert level performance that you get out of the VX2 Hub. But a lot of riders don't want to go 34 miles per hour. So now those riders don't have to pay for extra performance that they don't need. But they still get the full ride quality of a sporty Swiss designed full suspension scooter. You should buy the VX2 Lite if you want the best combination of speed, ride quality, and portability that you can get for $799. And next up, and this is a fun one, should anyone buy the Costco scooter, the Phantom Gogo A10? The last two scooters I'm going to cover here are the budget scooters. I bought this Phantom Gogo A10 at Costco for $399 and tested it the same way as all the other scooters. And stay with me because I promise I'll have some nice things to say about the next scooter that costs less than $200. But this scooter, the Phantom Gogo A10, I don't think anybody should buy it. I don't want to make anybody feel bad that bought one of these. There are worse scooters you could buy. But honestly, I was a bit disappointed here. These tires look kind of fat and I thought they might be squishy, but they're hard as rocks. And then out back, I've seen people riding these around, and I always thought that this might mean that there's some suspension back here, but there's just not. So the ride quality of this scooter was really kind of disappointing, and the performance wasn't much better. Tested top speed was 15.3 miles per hour, and the range was just okay at 14.2 miles. But you have to keep in mind, the reason it went that far was because it was going that slow. Again, I don't want to make anybody feel bad that bought the Phantom Gogo, but I just feel like there are better scooters out there for $400. And if I'm going cheap, I'm not gonna go halfway cheap. I wanna go all the way and get this $200 scooter that I'm gonna show you next. Okay, so finally we have the ultra budget scooter. This, at the time I bought it, was the best selling electric scooter on Amazon, also known as the Maxshot V1 Sportscooter. Retailed for $199, you can often find it on sale for less. I'm not even sure I can call this a commuter scooter, but I can tell you who I think should buy it. You should buy this best-selling Amazon scooter if your goal is to simply spend as little money as possible and you travel short distances. In my test, it reached 18 miles per hour and covered 12.1 real-world miles on the ESG test course, and it made it up the ESG test hill, but just barely. Honestly, as much as this scooter is not to my personal taste, I do have to admire how much transportation this is for $199. The compromises really start to stack up on this best-selling Amazon scooter. It's got solid tires, there's no suspension, there's very little traction. The regen brakes are pretty grabby. For an adult-sized rider, these handlebars are just way too low. And the braking distance, if you look on the chart here, is almost twice as long as the other scooters I tested, making the Maxshot V1 Sportscooter just a less safe choice. But if you decide to get one anyway, just because it's so darn cheap, I've got a tip for you. Just be sure to keep the box and ride the heck out of it during the first 30 days, the Amazon return window, because that might be the only customer support you'll get from a scooter like this. And buying parts for these can be a real crapshoot. They're out there, but they're not from Maxshot, and so you don't know if they're gonna fit when you sort of eyeball parts on the internet that look like they might bolt onto your scooter. So the best approach on a $200 scooter might just be to assume that it's disposable if something breaks and hope for the best. We've reached the bottom of the list, but let's circle back to the middle and wrap up the 2 best value commuter scooters. I was just walking around looking for it, and I forgot that I'm using a digital Ninebot MAX G2 because I tested it back at Electric Scooter Guide. This scooter is digital. I don't want to fake you out, but the data is real. At $799, these 2 scooters are, I think, the absolute sweet spot for maximum commuter value and ride quality. And it's especially true because with both of these, you can buy them and you won't outgrow them within just a few months like you might with the Maxshot or the Costco scooter. Like I mentioned before, they both represent a level of ride quality that just didn't exist in the $799 range not that long ago. It's hard to go wrong with either of these, but if you like a well-established scooter that has the better app and is a little bit more chill than thrill, go with the Ninebot MAX G2. Or if you want something a little sportier, a little more modern, and with better suspension, I'd pick the VX2 Lite. So these 2 are my absolute favorites in this price category, but I hope by showing you the bigger group, I've helped you pick your best commuter scooter. And like I said in the comments earlier, if you think I've got anything wrong in this video, call me out in the comments. I will comment back. I really want to hear what you think. I'm Paul Somerville from VMAX. Ride safe, and don't forget to wear a helmet.